We are so excited to be sitting down with you guys. We're so grateful for just this opportunity to even have these conversations. I know that your ministry has ministered to both of us personally in so many ways. And so we're just super, super grateful.
Yes. Welcome to Canada. We feel we're honored to have this time with you. And we're excited to get to know you both a little bit more and ask you just some questions about life right now and just kind of your journey with Christ.
Yeah. We also want to play a little game to kick us off. So we're going to play Would You Rather Tour Edition.
It's our favorite game.
It's our favorite game. We play it all the time. So Would You Rather Tour Edition, the rules are you have to say the first thing that comes to your mind. So don't think about it too hard. Just give us your first answer right off the bat.
Okay. So top bunk or bottom bunk?
Bottom.
Bottom?
Top.
Yeah?
Easy. Yeah.
Okay.
That's crazy.
I definitely say top too, for sure.
I would say
that's
bottom.
crazy.
Yeah.
Bottom. I am so afraid of falling off.
Yeah, me too.
Last tour,
Yeah.
you remember me? I was like this
One morning,
the whole time.
One morning we woke up and Madison was kind of hanging off of her bunk.
It
fully.
gave me so much anxiety. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was
That
actually
is
crazy.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Staying up late on the bus or going to bed early?
Oh, staying up late.
Yeah, staying up late. That's
Makes
where the vibes
sense.
are.
I feel like you have to go to sleep when everyone goes to sleep. So no matter
Right.
what, you're staying up late.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're on tour, are you into like fruit and veggies and trying to stay healthy, or is it junk food just all the way?
Last tour was junk food.
Yeah.
And I learned the hard way. So this tour has definitely been me trying to eat healthier. I have like carrots and hummus on the bus, and I've just been eating that, protein bars, and like trying to stay healthy because I get sick a lot, so I have to just watch out for that. But it only came by learning the hard way.
No, same. I mean, this past West Coast tour, we were going crazy, and it didn't help that like post show food, there's nothing open that's healthy at
Right.
like 9 and 10 o'clock.
That's true.
So we're just bodying pizza and wings all the time, and then you start to like feel gross.
Yep.
And after like 2 weeks of feeling gross, you're like, all right, yeah,
Right.
I got that out of my system. So I feel like it's the same thing. This past tour has been like really just like, let's eat right type stuff.
Smart. So I heard a rumor that someone on one of the past tours didn't shower for the majority of the tour. So would you rather shower at the arena or not shower at all?
Oh, arena.
Oh, I loved it.
100%. Honestly, some of them were bad. Like some of them, but you were always in the boys, and the boys, like there's more boys than there are girls.
Right.
So
We would get-
boys, they got like the best locker rooms, and we like got put into like offices, like office
I was
spaces.
excited.
But no,
I wanted to say, hey, what's the shower look like today? You know, like what's the situation?
it was
so
crazy. But
funny.
arena, 100%.
I need to know where this rumor.
Where did you
that
hear
can't
that?
be
'Cause
right.
It's right. And the person shared it themselves. So we'll
Oh,
connect afterwards.
no.
Connect after. We'll connect after.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I have to ask the question though. You guys just released a brand new album.
Yeah.
And you've probably got this question a million times, but what is your favorite song off the album?
Go first.
Okay, right now I'm going through a massive streetlights phase. Only because it's very new language. Like I mean, everything on the album is very fresh, but like that concept of like the streetlights coming on, and like I've also been in this really big thing with the Lord, like learning a lot about like inheritance and sonship and like what it really looks like to be a child of God. And so streetlights kind of played into that, which has been like a big theme of like what the Lord has been teaching me this year. So that's on repeat.
Love
Super
that.
heavy for sure.
Honestly, it's You'll Be Saved.
Yeah.
I was talking to Bella. We were talking about that song, and we were actually getting off of being in an Uber, and he didn't know Christ. And we tried to take that opportunity to just say like, well, we've got a show tonight and we'd love for you to come out. And like getting out of that, I was like, it makes so much sense like now why that song means so much more.
Right.
Because I feel like in a place where you're with a stranger who doesn't know the Lord, doesn't know his love, doesn't know his mercy, I'm like, I feel like that song enwraps that whole, like the whole point of the gospel, and like who we're called to be. Like, come as you are. He doesn't need you to be perfect. He doesn't need you to have it all together. And through that, like his mercy is enough to save you.
Right.
Like he sent his son to die for us. And I feel like, I don't know, that's just the perfect song. So like from that point on, I've been like, if I encounter another person who has just 2 minutes to listen to a song, I feel like that's the perfect song. And I would just be like, you have to listen to this song because you're going to be wrecked after.
Yeah.
So
Wrecked.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that that's so incredible. There was a Sunday here in church where we were singing this, You Will Be Saved. And I was like, every single person in this room is going to receive salvation today just from singing the song. Yeah. They might not even understand what they're singing or what's going on, but it really is a salvation prayer, but in a song. And so, yeah, that's incredible. I love that. Both those answers were great. My question for you is, you both have very unique journeys on how you came to be a part of Elevation Rhythm. So we would love to hear how you came to Elevation and how you came to be a part of Elevation Rhythm.
Yeah, yours is.
So I first came to the church at the end of 2018. I was 16, and I didn't actually know that Elevation Church was in North Carolina, and I was like, that's crazy. So we started getting involved with my local campus. I auditioned to be a part of the worship team, which was in Greensboro in 2019, and they were a little bit nervous because I was young. I was 16 years old. They hadn't really had many young people like from a leading worship standpoint. So it took a little bit, but then I shadowed for like 3 weeks, and then they were like, "Okay, I think you're ready." And I was like so nervous. The idea of a stage actually made me start shaking. Mm-hmm. So I had to work through that. But then in 2020, I auditioned for the Youth X talent show because my e-group leader was like, you need to do this. Like, it's going to be so much fun. And I was like, I don't want to. Like, that's not something that sounds fun to me. That's not something that I think I could do. And despite all of those insecurities, I did it with two of my other friends. And I think Will Wilson was on that judge table, and I guess somehow it found its way to David. We won the talent show, and then David messaged me like that day and was like, we just heard you sing and we want to bring you on a rhythm night. Wow. And I was like, okay, that's crazy, but okay. So that's how I got started, and that was back in 2020 when we had rhythm nights every Wednesday. So it definitely helped with my insecurity that there was nobody in the room. And I think the Lord knew that, how to ease me into his calling, right, but still teaching me like the gradual change of it. It was a great place to learn, and a wonderful place to be surrounded by people who were also called to that place. And 3 years later, here we are. So
wow.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. I remember that talent show.
I remember that talent show. I remember.
So incredible.
So, that's awesome. What an amazing way that God's worked in your life.
Yeah.
Mine was like a little weird. It's a really layered and like complex story, but I'm going to make it short. Basically, it's May of 2021. I had friends at Elevation and stuff because I had like worked with them while I was with Mav still. And so, like, there were people that I knew, but I was like, and there was like this weird transition season in my life. And someone, Brewster, called me, and he was like, hey, wouldn't come out to Charlotte for the like summer. And then me and Wade got close, and then Wade was like, hey, you and this guy Kendrick, what if you guys come and do this? Like, we're gonna guinea pig this program called the Apprenticeship. Do you guys want to like come out and hang? Essentially, it was just like that. And I was like, yeah, but at any point, like, I feel like this is not gonna be like, I'm gonna go back to Virginia, because there was a lot happening in my life, and I was like, I need like somewhere to be planted right now. And I ended up finding family in honestly a lot of rhythm people. And it just started, it was so organic. Like, I didn't realize I was a part of rhythm until like we recorded Growing Pains. And that night I was like, I think we started a band. Like, I was like, wow. Did we just start a band? Like, in the corniest way, that's what my thought was. And I was like, no, like, it really became family. So like all that summer we were doing rhythm nights, like, cool. Like, that's what a big part of what me and Kendrick were doing. And then obviously like Kendrick went back there, and I ended up like went back to college, but still part of rhythm, graduated. And then I stayed in Charlotte And I was just like, I just kind of served at the church in that capacity and never really like cared necessarily to be a part of anything, but I became a part of a family first, and that family turned into Rhythm.
Yep.
Wow.
And so it's super organic and super like, it just felt right.
Right.
And ever since then, it's just been kind of family.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's so special, right? When you feel that connection to people, it makes such a difference.
Yeah.
I know right now you guys have been on tour for the last 2 weeks, and something that maybe some people watching didn't know, you've also been on tour with Lecrae, the Church Close tour.
Yeah.
And I would just love to know how you've been able to balance both. Like, what is like a practical
Yeah.
tip? Because this is crazy,
Bro,
what
I
you guys
mean,
are doing.
it is a testament to the great leadership of this team. Like, shout out Josh, shout out David, shout out the label, shout out everyone that made it work, because we're very much two teams in two different places right now.
Yeah.
Right.
We have a 6-piece band at Lecrae we've been going since March 15th. And then like in the middle of the Lecrae tour, picking up on the second leg, Elevation Night started.
Right.
And it goes to show, one, like the the greatness of God to like allow us to like steward a great community of people that's like, we have a really extended family too. So you see like people like, it's easy for Joel to step in and do Elevation Nights because he's been such an integral part of what Rhythm is. And that's a beautiful thing about Rhythm being so new, is that you can't really put a face to it. And honestly, the goal is to never have a face to it.
Right.
To
Yeah.
consistently be like, it's not on one person.
Yeah.
It's not on 2 or 3 people. Like this, if this is a family like we say it is, let's treat it as such. And everyone is involved. Everyone has a seat at the table.
Yep.
And so when you build a community and a culture like that, it's easy for us to be in 2 different places at 2 different times. One's an arena tour, one is like smaller venues and sometimes churches, and yet no one is going, well, I should be over there, or I should be over here. There isn't an A team, there isn't a B team. It's just like we're assigned to this, and whether it's at Scotiabank or whether it's at a church in Florida, we're going to give God our all, because like he's why we do this. He's why we sing. He's why we came. Yes. And as a result of that, you have great leadership that's like, that always diffuses that tension of like it being really difficult to be like, oh, I want to be here, I want to be there. Like, it's all the same to us, you know?
Right.
I think God has also probably given you all grace for
Yo,
it too,
yeah.
right? Like the
So
way
much.
that I'm sure it's been a lot, but
Oh, yeah.
it's kind of all through him that's also making it happen too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what your parents think
Yes.
about this.
Oh, they're
Like-
they're confused.
Yeah.
No.
Right?
Wait, where
Where's
are you?
my child? No,
Yeah,
I mean,
Literally.
that's
they love
amazing.
it. They're the best. Love you, Mom. Love you, Dad.
What do you think, or what would you say is the most fulfilling part of the ministry that you do? Because it's so unique. Like, you guys are writing songs, you're on tour, you're releasing albums, you're also ministering to so many youth at a Rhythm Night, like not just the youth in the room, but you're ministering to our youth here in Canada, the youth in Florida. And so I would just love to know, what would you say is the most fulfilling part of your ministry?
I think meeting new people in different places, it's funny because on one hand it throws you for a loop, like this traveling side of
Right.
things. Like, we wake up in new places and sometimes it feels like it throws you off, but then when we find community in the people that we call like EFAM, and like we get to meet these people who have like testimonies about the same church we call home, it brings it all back together, even on a different level, like youth, like you're talking about. I think that getting to hear how not just songs have impacted these people, but how our actual ministry, like our youth ministry, has impacted their lives. Like, that's the whole reason that we do it. Like, that's the whole point, for them to be drawn back to Christ. And, you know, even from the artistry side of things, or like the worship side of things, for us to be able to be leaders and role models of, this is how we can worship in freedom. Like, we have a beautiful opportunity and honor to just worship the Lord in this place, and like in this place that we call home,
Right.
and in this place that we have an abundance of tools and resources that we can use, like us getting to travel and come visit new people. Like, it's just this full circle moment of, wow, what we do is a blessing.
Right.
And we can use it as an example and say, you can do this too. Like, it's not just us. And even going back to the part about our team and how we split up and how we're able to be in different places at once and still be a family. Like, it goes back to show that it's not us, like, it's
Right.
Jesus. And going even further than that, like, this ministry has been such an impact on our lives too. It's not just about our youth or about like our families, or like it. The impact goes so much further than we're able to see. And so, like, even getting the smallest point of view of meeting new people, just like we're about to do soon, it makes it all worth it. And hearing those lives and those testimonies, like, that's the whole point.
Yeah, I think the most specifically about youth ministry, there's nothing that brings me more joy than like in what we do than watching young kids get saved. Because like we know what it's like to be in those seats.
Right.
We know what it's like to feel the tension of, oh, I need to break up with my girl, or why do I feel so drawn to this and it's not fair. I want to live my, like, I know what it's like. We all have been in those seats. It's not like we're not foreign to that concept of being a young person that is faced with a decision that could change the rest of our lives. And so watching young kids get saved is just like it. I mean, I'll cry right now. Because if you think about it, there's real situations where like the enemy would love to kill these kids. Like, it is that serious.
Yeah.
And it's I know it sounds blunt and it sounds harsh. The enemy would love to kill our destiny, would love to kill our faith, would love to kill our hope and our joy. But some kids walk in, a lot of kids walk in, and they're headed this way, and just one moment that night could change the course of their life forever.
Yeah.
Like, literally change it forever, and there's nothing here. Like, that's what the blood has done.
Yeah.
And watching the sacrifice of Jesus, like, yeah, we can sing it and like it still saves us, but it's different when you see it, bro.
Yeah.
It's different when when you're watching the blood applied. When you watch someone get that revelation, oh, he really is who he says he is.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
it's true, he's real. Like, watching that flip switch in like whether it's a young adult, whether it's a teenager, whether it's like sometimes you see like these 9-year-olds at the altar just weeping their eyes out, and you're like, oh, they're getting it.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
it. And it also encourages your faith in you. God, make me like that again.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I don't want to ever lose that first love. So like you said, it is very much, right, a part of ministry is impartation, but when you look at the fruit, it reminds you of like what the blood did for you, what Jesus has done for you. So that's in regards to fulfillment, that's got to be my favorite thing.
Yeah.
It's like watching people get saved.
That's so good, Nate. It never gets old. Like you're
No.
saying, I could cry just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And my life was changed when I was a youth. And I know that what started there, like I was never the same. Even when like challenges happened in my life, things went a different way. Like I always knew where to come back to. So what you guys are doing and how you're reaching the youth, it's just so needed today. And I'm just so grateful.
Yeah, there's actually a moment that I recently had the opportunity to come to your worship night in Florida. And there's a young girl, she was probably like 6 or 7, and she came to the altar and she was on her knees worshiping. And I think about that moment all the time. I'm like, there is nothing more beautiful than seeing children come to the altar and like really understand that Jesus loves them.
Yeah.
And so the work that you guys are doing is so incredible, and it's so important. It's so needed because the rest of the world is saying otherwise.
Yeah.
The rest of the world is saying like, no, TikTok matters more than Jesus, or hanging out with your friends matters more. Like, Jesus doesn't really love you as much as these people or these things would. And so it's crucial because it really can be a pivotal part to your life and your story.
And there's definitely a weight to it, right? With everything that you're doing. And I would love to know, is there something that you do to really prepare yourselves or your heart to go into, whether it's a tour, whether it's just any opportunity to do a rhythm night or anything like that? Is there some like, I don't know, regiment that you do really to really prepare yourselves for what you're about to step into and what you do?
We have this cool thing that we call Rhythm House.
Okay.
Which was started before even our first live recording. And it brought all of us together, like those who, like Kendrick, who lives far, Layla lives far, me and Jordan lived like 2 hours from Charlotte too. And so like it offers us like 2 days, I think, like before rhythm, to just come together and like recenter our team. And I think that was like the first time, which I think it was like August of like 2021. That was our first time doing it. And like, I didn't know Nate very well. Like, we didn't have like really strong relationships with each other, which, as you might know, like that shows on stage too.
Yeah.
And so us getting the chance to not only know each other, but as a team draw near to God in the privacy of a space apart from church, allowed us to really develop a unique connection with each other. But remember that it's not about us. It's not about what we're doing here. Like, it's about the Lord. And that helped us in being on stage and stage chemistry and going on tour. Like, all of these things come from strong relationships with each other and strong relationships with the Lord. So honestly, like, Rhythm House was a huge reason why we've learned how to balance, I think, like tour life or rhythm nights, and that's what recenters us back to our purpose. Why we do it is just spending time with each other, and in prayer and devotionals that we get to do together. It's
Sounds very unifying.
all impactful. Yeah.
Yes.
There is a weight to anything you do that is going to be significant in the kingdom of God. And it's like the Lord allows you to feel the weight, but the purpose for that is only so that you can surrender the weight back to him.
Right.
It's a dependency thing, right? And so you do feel that. If someone's saying, I don't get nervous, if you were to step in front of a crowd of 10,000, they're lying to you, respectfully. But you have an opportunity at that moment to keep the crown or to cast the crown. And when you cast the crown, you realize everyone in this room, even though they're under the sound of my voice, it's actually under the blood. And so the only way to truly deal with the weight is to lay it down. And so, like, even I remember on this past winter tour for the West Coast, I went to a worship night, and it was the night after, like, we sold out the Kia Forum. And it was wild. I mean, it was just, like, truly a wild experience to see all those people in such a mass and, like, a crazy, like, historical venue. And there was this old man that, like, was just, I mean, I went to a worship night at my friend's house the night after, and there was this older gentleman that came up to me, super prophetic. I mean, we talked for a long time, and, like, he's released some crazy stuff, right? But he told me, he was like, you know, about, like, big stages like that, because he asked about how the Kia Forum went. He goes, you know what's even more beautiful is that there are tens of thousands of people in that room. And then imagine the room just empties out. The music continues to play, but it empties out, and then, like, all the way at the top in the rafters, like, you realize the room is empty, but there's someone up there, and he's dressed in white. And, like, people go back. Like, we were there in the middle of Harry Styles' residency, and imagine Harry going back to his band and being like, look at all the people we just played for. Like, look at all the people we just played for. How much more should the children of God, if that place was empty, but Jesus is sitting at the top left in the rafters, go back after and be like, look who we just played for.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, look who we just played to.
Yeah.
And, like, that relieves the weight.
Yeah.
When you realize what happens in that room is not your responsibility,
Yeah.
but it's the responsibility of the Lord, and you are truly only a vessel. When the weight is lifted, when you realize he doesn't need me, he actually just wants me.
Yeah.
And so it's not up to me. Like, the work is finished. It's not up to me. The only thing he requires of me is an open heart, and, like, for me to be aware of him. And that's an invitation. It's not even like it's not like he strangles you into awareness. So the pressure is relieved when you realize, oh, this was never on me. It's actually just an invitation to meet with him. And then you turn around and you realize thousands of other people, because you were just meeting with him and you closed everything out of the room, they were led to him too.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really, that's how I personally have dealt with the weight, because you do feel it,
Yeah.
especially as a worship leader, because you feel like it's on you. It's on me to, this set has to be good, woo, 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 woo. And then you realize, like, oh, wait a second, like, my righteousness is like filthy rags.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually truly up to him, and I just get to meet with him.
Yeah.
And other people get to see that
Yeah.
and meet with him.
No, that's so good, Nate. I feel like that's such a beautiful image for anything that we do in life.
Yeah.
Like everything that we're doing, if we just imagine it's not for people, it's really for God, and it's
Yeah.
out of just our love for him and our willingness to want to do the work that he's called us to do.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you have ever felt like this, but maybe sometimes a challenge has come up in your life, or it's been a really hard day. Something's really brought you down. I know sometimes it can be hard to worship, but as a worship leader, like, what do you do when maybe you don't almost feel like worshiping because it's something so heavy on you? Do you have any advice for that, or when maybe it can be hard to really do that?
I literally posted this on my story today. I was listening to a pastor speak on Sunday, and he was just talking about like the fact that the joy of the Lord is our strength. And so he just, like, if you take it really literally, like, the joy is of the Lord. And his joy, like the joy that he feels, is our strength. We get to draw from that well. But that doesn't, like, make me not feel the pain that I'm going through, right? I'm very honest. I'm an open book. I'm going through some really rough stuff in the last month. And I felt this weird thing of, like, I am very much going through a lot, but for some reason when I get in the presence, the goodness of God seems to overwhelm this. It's still there, but the goodness of God is more magnified.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm learning how to hold grief and sorrow and pain in this hand while still holding the goodness of God in this hand. And sometimes I focus more on this, and then the goodness of God will draw me back. And I think that's how you deal with it, is that you have to give it to the Lord. And it doesn't have to be pretty, you know? Like, you don't have to want to sing. You don't have to want to jump. Like, you don't have to. I think, like, there's a thing, again, it's a performance thing. When I don't feel like singing, sometimes I sing like I don't feel like, because the Lord can take that.
Yeah.
And I'd be giving him, like, plastic worship if I were to act like I really want to do this. I know and sometimes you have to command your soul to bless him, like David did, like, bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. And you have to get your flesh in line with it. But sometimes if you don't have the strength to do that, right, the Lord his strength is perfected in our weakness. Like, bring the weakness. If you're, like, going through a lot and you're a worship leader, your job is not to, like, put on the face so that you lead worship. No, bring the weakness, because you don't know how many other people are going to see that are in the same place as you, and they'll take off their masks too and encounter the Lord, because he can only encounter, like, the real you.
Yeah.
He can't encounter the fake you.
Yeah.
So I would definitely encourage worship leaders, if you sing from that place. Don't try to hide that place from the Lord, or else you'll never get healing, you'll never get breakthrough, you'll never feel that peace in the midst of that grief.
Right.
You know?
That's really good.
So before we wrap this up, I would love for you both to just share a bit of encouragement for youth or young adults, or really anyone who's watching right now. If there's one thing you could say to them as they continue to walk with the Lord, what would it be?
Dale tú.
One thing I would say is, don't try to worship like somebody else. Something I learned from a young age is that I wasn't created like others. And I think I struggled with that for a little bit, because I wanted to be like other people. I saw other people leading from a place of security and strength, and I didn't understand that, and I couldn't understand why I was struggling with insecurity and not really understanding or seeing maybe the full calling of God on my life. And so I got caught up in the idea that I was supposed to look or dance or sing like somebody else. And in that, I was already diminishing what the Lord was trying to tell me. And I think if there's any piece of encouragement, is listen to the Lord's voice before other people's. Like, he's going to tell you, and he's going to give you exactly what you need. He's not going to tell you, oh, well, you need to grow up and look like that person. You need to sing or stand or dance or lift your arms like that person. Every person's worship, every type of praise is going to be different, and that's how he wanted it to be. It's not supposed to all be the same. And so that would probably be my piece of advice.
Yeah, I feel like for a young person, this is also just, like, very personal to me. I feel like the one thing that stops a lot of young people from coming to the feet of Jesus is shame. and guilt, and like they hear like you don't have to have it together, but then like when you're at the crib and you do something dumb, that goes out the window. So if you're watching this after you do something that you shouldn't have done, or if you're just like struggling with like guilt and shame, like I just want to, like Jesus really loves you, and he really means it when he says it. Like his love isn't like anything you can understand. Like his love is the kind of love that like the Israelites, he took them out of Egypt because he loved them so much, and they immediately like started worshiping a golden calf, yet he didn't kill them all like he could have. Like he's been patient and kind and loving for 2,000 years. What makes you think you have the power to make him not like that? He's been dealing with humanity for thousands and thousands of years, and his heart has never changed. And so it's not going to change about you. Jesus really, really loves you, and nothing you could do could ever change that. And so when you're faced with the option to like hide in shame or hide in guilt, know that it's better to hide under the blood, and give everything to him. That's the only way you're actually going to be able to feel him. He wants that. Like he wants that dirty thing. He wants that broken thing. He wants the thing you think is useless and not worthy. He wants that because he really, really loves you. He loves you too much to leave you where you are. So Jesus loves you, and he always will.
It's so good. Well, thank you both for being here. We've
loved
loved this
you.
chance getting to talk to you, and we're just so excited for everything that's coming up for Rhythm and for both of you personally. So thank you,
Thank you so
and
much.
we'll see you soon.